there's kind of 5 different ways. It's going to reduce time, save you money by not having to do those repetitive tasks, just like we were talking about. I don't need an admin assistant to do all these manual things now. I can let AI do it, okay? Identifying trends, patterns, and risks. We are using this one a lot. When we're talking to a new company and they're saying our market is this big, we can actually use AI to start looking at what are the problems in the market? Who are the real people in the market that are making the purchases right now? What's happening in this market? It can help you make decisions and prioritize. What are your customers saying out there? I was doing something just before Christmas and I was going to write an article and I was looking at, do I write an article on lead generation or on customer relationship management databases? Well, I used chat to do some research and it said that 60% of my customers are looking for information on lead generation and less than 3% are looking for information on CRMs. Guess what I focused on? So it's what's the best bang for my buck. It's going to give you a competitive advantage because it's going to allow you to augment what you're doing so much more easily by having that person or help behind you. But our focus today is really going to be on looking at what it's going to do to find customers and then nurture or grow that lead generation process. Leslie, anything you want to pop in there as we've been talking about, or how it's working right now? And your mic's off. No, your mic's still off, Leslie.
There we go.
There you go.
I know there's a bunch of people on LinkedIn Live that are like, where did you go? So when technology wants to work, that's fantastic. And to boot, on top of all this, my internet went down at the same time. So here we're trying to multitask and stream in different places. So I didn't catch all of what you said, Bob, but I know that I'm really excited about this tool because it does allow us, and as I think I caught what you were saying, Bob, with and even Steve Jones is putting in there is that some of this ChatGPT is learning from itself, that the information that we're putting into the sort of the group think, if you will, is exciting because it's starting to learn patterns of the way that we communicate, and if it starts to know our target audience and the cadence of how we speak, all these things, it's laddering up. And so from that perspective, learning about our target market and learning about their objections, their frustrations, those kinds of things from a sales perspective is so crucial.
And if we look at AI on something as simple as Amazon, probably one of the biggest companies in the world, one of the biggest retailers for sure, it's Amazon estimates over 20% of the sales they make are based on AI. It's actually AI looks at what you're buying now and it refers you to another product or recommends you buy another product or suggests you buy another product. If we think back to the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, we always called that the suggestive sell. Do you want fries with that? Well, McDonald's was the king of the suggestive sell on do you want fries with that order? It's been AI has allowed it to go on steroids now and things like Amazon. You're looking at this. Let's offer you something else that fits right in it. You're buying the tablet. Don't forget the extra charger for your car, or the case, or the cover, or the mirror, the screen cover. There's all sorts of different things that AI is doing in the retail sector. It can do the same things for us as we're working in business to business or business to consumer. But I want to throw out a few things to think about up front. One is please don't share your internal data. So taking a database, you've got a database of all of your clients. So Lisa, on the phone, or on the line, if you were to take the region of Aurora's database and load it into AI, that's dangerous because you're putting that out there where you don't know what could happen with it. AI says it only looks at the data and doesn't save it anywhere. And if you're using Chat 4, that's the case. But making sure you're keeping your information that needs to be secret, keep it confidential. 3 months ago, we were talking about chat using data that was 3 years old. And then all of a sudden in the fall, I think it was late November, chat caught up. So chat is now very current. It's just a little bit behind compared to what it used to be. But again, you've got to make sure that the data that you're working with is up to date. And it's always a good idea when you ask for something from chat, you ask where it came from. Is it a source? I get things all the time from the government. It'll say these stats came from Industry Canada. So it makes it really easy to use. It can have biases and it can discriminate. So watch what you're posting. Did you read through it to make sure that there aren't biases showing up, making sure there's no sorts of discrimination in the wording? We are always, always, always checking everything that we use AI for. We check anything. So I would never let AI write my emails and then just push the go button. I would let it write emails and then I would go through and I would review them. And remember, it's not always accurate. It can come back with the wrong information. If it goes to the wrong source, finds the wrong information, that's what it's doing. But here's the great news. So we're not talking about plagiarism here. We're not talking about lawsuits with the Wall Street Journal. What we're talking about is creating documents for you. And so you can create things, and Leslie and I do this all the time. We've written blogs and articles and books. We can take those and put them into chat, and we can ask it to carve it up into blog posts or TikTok video scripts or anything you want. So it really helps you create that compelling content that'll help you get your audience interacting with you. So we use it all the time for emails, scripting, call scripts, presentation scripts, all sorts of things. And as we all say, can brainstorm ideas. Give me ideas on what I should be doing here. And we're going to talk a lot more about that. So when we look at using it, this is where it really becomes important that we've laser focused on our niche. The more focused your command prompts. So when you ask AI to do something, you're actually giving it a command or asking it a question. And so when you're using these command prompts, you've got to be very, very specific. And we're going to show you some examples as we go along. But if you're talking to an ideal customer, you want to know what that ideal customer is. So Leslie constantly is working with financial planners. So she's not going to say something boring and generic like write 10 things that everybody needs to know about using LinkedIn. She'd probably ask it to write 10 things financial planners need to know about using LinkedIn. I do the same thing when I'm talking to startups or entrepreneurs. Focus your market very, 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 very focused before you want to do that. So the more niche driven we are, the better it's going to be. So it will help us with all these things. It can narrow the niche. It can identify pains and objections, create the copy, develop and automate these multi-tool touch drip marketing programs, and it can help you close the sale, but it still requires you to close that sale. So as I said, you've got to have the right foundational information, ask the right questions or command prompts, get more precise, and then you can tell chat to remember. So if you're in the middle of doing something, you don't want to have to go back and keep telling it to do it again and again. Just say, remember, and then it will use it. So then the string of information. So you start with one question and you dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And we're going to show you a couple of examples here very quickly. So if you don't know right now who your niche is, if you don't know all that information, then we are offering a master class. We'll talk a little bit about that at the very end. That's one of the things we help you do. It's like, let's really decide who your ideal customer is and how to get there. But we're not going to spend any time talking about that. Okay. But if you do need to do market analysis, and this is one of my favorites, very one, it can really do a good job of looking at your market. And is this suggesting keywords and doing a competitor analysis is powerful. Now, what do I mean by suggesting keywords? If you don't know what your customers are searching for, chat can actually look at that. So I'll come back and I'll give you the example about writing the article. I asked the AI to tell me the top 10 topics. Here's my alliteration for you, Leslie. The top 10 topics that salespeople were searching for online. Now, if I would have done this using Google, I would have come back with 100,000 or a million websites trying to sell me sales training, where Chat AI actually went out and looked to find out what are people searching for. And that's where it came back and it listed that lead generation was number one. And then it went down the list and it gave me the percentages because I asked it, what are the topics? What are the percentage of searches for that topic? And it built the chart exactly for me. So then I knew when I was creating my messages, these were the keywords I needed to use. So I took it one step further. I knew it was lead generation. I asked it, what are the keywords in lead generation that they're searching on? And it might have been telephone scripts. It was email scripts. It was how to use this platform, how to use LinkedIn for lead generation, how to use email for lead generation. So it then gave me about another 10 or 15 keyword suggestions, and I asked for the percentages again. So that allowed me to write my documentation based on the top topic and the top keywords. And from there, it helps me build out what I'm doing. And you can do this in any field. Whatever it is you're selling, you can search keywords, topics, and determine the information that you want to use. And then the third piece we use, especially with our startup clients, is a competitive analysis. And you can do it as simply as asking it to review your competitors' websites and tell us what their keywords are. What are they trying to get across? Synthesize their keywords or their website down into the 5 major points they talk about. And maybe when you start doing that, you'll realize they're missing things that you do in your business that your competitors don't. Or maybe you're going to find out that you're all talking about the same thing. So it's a really powerful way of getting your niche and finding your prospects. Now I'm going to stop for a second. Anybody got any questions so far? Leslie, you have a question? Turn on your microphone and talk to me. You have to turn on your microphone before you're allowed to talk to me, though. You can't turn on your mic. Okay. Can I ask if I ask you to unmute?
There we go.
Okay.
It's like I'm sitting here with a gag on. I was typing you. I was
Oh,
saying,
I love it. I love it. I controlled you completely. All right, let me go to participants and security and see if I've got it turned off there.
okay.
Oh, that's the problem. I've got to unmute yourself was turned off. Now you can unmute yourself, Leslie.
I had muted myself on purpose because I was having all these hiccups, and then I was like, I can't unmute myself. Oh, good. It probably was a much better experience having because I wasn't jumping in with all my comments. Yeah. So, and now I've lost because I was so focused on trying to speak that I've lost my train of thought. So, so yeah.
So I was just asking anybody if they had any questions so far along. I'm not seeing anything in the chat, but I think you can now unmute and answer questions. Not seeing anything in the chat. Okay.
It's been a fun adventure, right? So yeah, the fact that technology is advancing so much and we are at the cutting edge of this is what the part excites me. So thinking about how ChatGPT is what the internet was in the late 90s and what social media was in the early 2000s, this is where ChatGPT is, and the genie is out of the bottle. So I will tell you transparently that it's freaking me out as a marketer, as somebody who writes for a living. I'm like, is this going to cannibalize what I do? And I think a lot of businesses are going to completely change because of this tool. But Bob and I have a lot of different conversations about how this is going to be a yes and. We still need human beings to go through and critique the comments and critique what the output is, and it's garbage in, garbage out with the prompts. And also, as Bob said, there are a lot of things we do need to be careful and mindful of. So when I'm using ChatGPT, I use it to extract information. I don't use it to input information. So anything that is private, don't ever put anything that you think might, what goes on the internet stays on the internet is what I'm
customer database. If you've got a customer database, you don't want to load it and say, do a review of this database. So
because we don't know right now.
Yeah.
So be careful. So if your organization is saying we don't want you using ChatGPT, that also applies at home. So don't take the private information of your organization and then upload it and Bob and I have the paid version, so you can
Yeah.
upload content. It took me 20 seconds to upload my book. 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So this is revolutionary. Like this is going to be such a game changer for everyone. So Lisa has a question there about
Yeah,
providing.
she wanted to know if we're going to provide examples. And yes, Lisa, in a minute, we're actually going to show you some examples. And are the prompts trial and error? That's a really good question, because at the start they are. It's think about, Lisa, if you're sitting in front of someone you work with and they want to provide the answers. And so you type in a question and boom, there's the answer. Now think about you're sitting in front of your teenage daughter and you ask the question. And I know Lisa's got teenagers. So, the answers you're getting sometimes. So it's really how you frame the questions. And we're going to really go into that as we're going forward. And I just want to, before we jump there, one of the big challenges that I've argued for years, when you talk about marketing, marketing always says that the buyer's cycle is the buyer becomes aware of a problem and then they start to go and look for solutions. We hear that all the time. So problem recognition is usually what they start with. And what we're saying, and especially when we're talking to startups, is you need to be involved before they become problem aware. So let me use the example of a startup company with a brand new product that nobody knows about. Nobody's out searching for it. And we see this regularly. We ask all of our clients, okay, type into Google search what your customers would be looking for. And they're like, well, we've developed something new. So they don't know what to type in. So what we do is we need to not only be problem aware, we need to start engaging them before they become problem aware. So if your people in your organization came back to you tomorrow and said, hey, we need to understand AI for this part of our business, now you're problem aware and you start to go out and do some research. Where some of you are on this call because you're like, is AI going to be a problem? Is AI going to be a solution? So let's get some information now and determine what we need to learn to go forward. So being ahead of the head of the wave is really much better, because if you only start to get involved when the customer is looking, then they start to have their biases. Well, so let's go back a second. Before smartphones came out, there was who? There was BlackBerry doing it, and then along comes Apple that does it. So there weren't a lot of things happening in that market. People were unaware. Yeah, I like the comment here, Steve Jobs. He created a lot of things when people were unaware. He created the demand, or Apple created the demand, or in the case of um, uh, uh, other companies that have actually gone out there and created demand for the product. That's what we're going to help do with our AI. Let's get people thinking about that. What do I need to know that I don't know now? So that's the next piece, is how do we use it to identify? And this is going to come to it. So we're going to do how to identify, then we're going to talk about some copy and talk about how to make it in your brand. Okay. So what's your customer need? If you are the Ajax Pickering Board of Trade, what's your customer need? They want more customers to come into their businesses. They may want to save money on benefit plans or on gas prices or on phones or whatever else. So you identify these needs. They may want to network with more people locally to try to get more, but there's something specific that they want. And you can use AI to help you identify these things. Right? And that way, when your sales team is out there, you already know what's happening. And we get this all the time. Salespeople want to go out and sell the features of their product. This is what our product does. Customers don't care about the features of your products. They care about what the product does for them. So if I'm selling a board of trade membership, I want more customers. If I am selling LinkedIn profile writing, which Leslie does, the person doesn't care about the profile, how it's written specific, and I don't mean that, Leslie, that they don't care. You're right. They're focusing on, they want to write a profile to attract customers or to validate who they are online.
And just even
Leslie?
we're usually talking about sales here, but Steve Jones is a great friend of mine, and he's in business analysis. Business, I can't say the word. He's a business analyst. And so, I mean, those kinds of things probably apply too. Of like, what are the barriers, for some of your customers, like, or your team members, or what are the objections you might be getting as a business analyst or a project manager, or those kinds of things. Like, whatever the obstacles are that we need to overcome, you can use ChatGPT. And so, as I said, if you can extract that data of putting in who's your audience, who are you speaking to, understand how they think and what their framework is, so that you can then address the challenges, the obstacles, the problems that you're dealing with, and find nuanced ways to approach those things. So it goes across a wide range of industries, not just like simply sales and marketing and those kinds of things, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm just going back to a question here. Yeah, we always, what value do you bring? What solution is it? It's a consultative selling approach. Who's put that in there? SJ. Oh, Steve. Yeah, so it's you're creating value. So, and here's your value-driven copy. We create videos, websites, brochures, infographics. FAQs are huge. If somebody isn't sure about your business, to be able to go and look at some frequently asked questions about your business or about what you deliver, I'm a huge in favor of the case studies. And Leslie and I are always creating what we call swipe files or how to, or fill in the blanks, whatever you want to call them. It's a quick way of driving value. I don't know if you can do what I need done. Well, here's a case study of how you've done it for someone else. That drives the value to move it forward.
And I think one of the other
yep.
Too, as I jump in here, Bob, is don't just take the copy from ChatGPT and plug it into whatever channel it is. We really have to have that critical thought. Number one, you want to stand out in a sea of sameness. And the good thing is that ChatGPT is understanding the nuances. So we're not all getting the same copy. That when we're putting things in, when we're putting in the prompts, we're not all getting identical copy back because of our prompts, because it's understanding the past questions and so forth. But I did read recently that they're hypothesizing, no one knows yet, but they're hypothesizing that search engine optimization will suppress AI written content and really and optimize the content that is written by a human. And there will be maybe nuances. So use ChatGPT as a foundational tool for your work, but don't expect it to do all the work for you.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, there are AI programs that can take the AI and rewrite it so it doesn't know it's been written by an AI program. That's being used mainly by high school and college students right now. So, Lisa, back to your question. Here's a command prompt. We want to turn common objections into sales and marketing materials. So the prompt is my customer, and in the case I could say technology startups, and then describe your product or service. So create a table that lists the most common objections to my customers might have and suggests how to address them. So I could say startups and what's their product or service they're looking for, sales training. And then I could go in here and I could type that in as a prompt. So create a table that lists the most common objections that startup technology companies might have when booking sales training, and give me some suggestions on how to address them. So it'd come back and say, maybe price is the first thing. And it would say, okay, you have to look at they're concerned about the price. So what you should do is you should offer a money back guarantee, or you need to figure out how much they're planning to make in the first year so they can offset it to what you're charging. And then in the third column, provide one example that you could actually use. So it really allows you to customize how you write these prompts. And the more you put in the prompt, the more detailed it gets. And I always love, and Leslie, I keep forgetting to do this half the time. Please ask me any additional questions if this is unclear. So the AI can come back and say, I don't have enough information yet. And then it gives you more. So I think this next one is actually, there we go. So we've got Leslie's example. So she's taken the prompt. Leslie, you talk about this. There you go.
So I
Yeah, it's your thing.
so right, so writing the prompts is really important, and so the more input that you can ask and the more details that you can give on the parameters. So in this example, the ChatGPT prompt says, I'm a LinkedIn profile writer who helps professionals tell their brand story to gain more opportunities, create a table with the most common objections that customers might have, provide suggestions for each objection, and in a third column, so it's already presupposing that it's going to write that second column. I could ask it for the second column. It's figuring that out already. In the third column, provide at least one example where I could use this information in my sales and marketing material. And again, so you can put in there, I only want my copy to be 120 characters, or I only want my copy to be whatever. Write it in French, write it in English, write it, if you want to.
Canadians speak like we did.
So
We had fun with it.
we'll have it talk like that, eh? And with
How's it going, eh? Right? Yeah.
the Canadian lilt at the end. Yeah, we could do it like now. Yeah, you can find out all the nuances of what you're asking for, and ChatGPT will play along with you and do this. So
So
yeah,
here's the answer that Leslie got back.
right. So and this is the frequently asked questions, right? So what are those objections? Oh, it's too expensive. I can do this myself. Isn't this all? I'm not sure, whatever it is. So we've got these objections. And then I actually had to go into ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, can you give me some examples as to why anybody would still hire me? Because the tool seems
Chat's doing it.
the tool seems to want to take away my job. But we have to remember that we are sentient beings, that the tool, ChatGPT, is not a human being. And so it hasn't gotten to that place yet. It's getting close to understand how people feel and the critical thinking that needs to go behind these objections. So the same thing if I'm creating a content calendar or whatever, sometimes it repeats itself, sometimes it makes stuff up. This is why we human beings we still need to be doing the critical thinking about the outputs of what ChatGPT is giving us. But from a framework perspective, how much time this used to take to sit and understand our target market, to come up with those objections, to address those objections, and then find sales and marketing examples that we can then use across different channels. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to do it, which is, literally 2 seconds to do it, which is.
I was working on something the other day, and I could not remember for the life of me an example of a speech that somebody had given, and it had some certain specific terms in it. And I used chat, and I said, find the speech that said the following information, and tell me where it was. And boom, sure enough, seconds later, it came back and said that was a speech given by, and it turns out it was Bill Gates had given the speech, told me where he gave the speech, and it even asked me if I wanted the entire citation or the printout of the speech, so I could have read his speech from where it was placed on the internet.
And it might be the advanced or the paid version provides more detailed analysis too. So we also, if you're not getting this on the free version and you're not getting those details or up to date links to, like you said, Bob, to substantiate whatever you're asking for it, then that may be one of the hiccups as well. It's about $20 US, $20 Canadian. I think it turns it to be like $30 US, something like that for the advance. That's per month.
Other way around, $20 US, $30 Canadian. I think it's 26 and a bit. But here's something too, and I do the same thing with LinkedIn Sales Navigator and some other tools I want. I don't leave LinkedIn Sales Navigator turned on 12 months of the year. I turn it on for 1 or 2 months. I actually always turn it on in December and January because the spring is a huge busy time for me. So it allows me to push more information out as well as pull more information in terms of what the audience is talking about. And then I do the same thing with a couple of other programs. So you could do the same thing with chat. If you want to build something, you can try a free program, upgrade for a month or two to use it to create what you're doing, and then just turn it off until you need it again for free and see. Try it for free and see it if you like it.
I always
So
try the free
go
stuff.
ahead.
See how you like it. See if you use it. And Bob and I, you're both the same. We don't work for LinkedIn, so we have no, vested
Yeah.
interest in, doing the advanced version of it. Learn how to walk before you learn how to run. But I will say, from my experience, the paid version of ChatGPT is blowing my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. We use it so much, it just makes sense. It's all I probably there are some days I use it 5 or 10 times. I don't go to Google looking for research now. I go to Chat or Bard. That's my first stop because I like the research I get. Bing gives me companies trying to sell to me. And
Well, I
so
also have you have to go through it. So think if those of us who remember what was life was like in a pre-Google world where we used to have
telephone book,
what's that?
the telephone book, the yellow pages.
Telephone book, and like or the Google Direct or like not Google Directory, but the directories that were Alta Vista and all those things. So
Yeah.
if you're a certain generation, you remember those and how Google just simplified everything because now you just had one field.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is like taking this to the next level insofar as if you say, I have this, and this, like even from a recipe standpoint, I have pasta and chicken and, make me a recipe and it will come up with something. And so it just sort of helps us scale back on like the research that goes into it. So,
Was it you that was telling me that one of your friends took a picture of what was in their fridge and
yes,
then asked, yeah, so took a picture of what was in their fridge and then they said to AI, okay, based on what you're seeing in my fridge, give me some recipes. And it kicked out a whole bunch of recipes. I see these things. Here's what you can make.
I haven't done
Now,
that, but the capability is there
yeah,
where you could take a photograph of something and ask it to analyze.
yes.
So it's the capability certainly is there.
So Lisa, I hope this is starting to answer your question. I'll go back to here's the prompt or the so sometimes it's just a question, other times it's actually a prompt telling it what you want it to do. The more concise you are, the better it will be. And you can constantly ask follow-up questions. And I will do that. I will put the first question in, and then I'll go, oh, that's too general. Narrow it down, narrow it down, narrow it down.
And
And I love the fact that it can create these detailed frameworks that you can then see, okay, here it is in boxes. So it's nice and easy.
the interesting thing too is when you say the follow-up questions, you can just say like you don't have to repeat your question ahead of
Yeah.
time. So that question of like I'm a LinkedIn profile, like that, all that prompt. The next question is give me more on point number two.
Yeah.
Expand upon.
Yeah.
So it already remembers the question from beforehand. So you don't have to go in and retype the whole prompt again. You just simply have to go as if you're having a conversation with a human being that presupposes the previous conversation.
It can help you build blogs. We're going to get into that in a second. Yes, it can. Car sales 101. Pick up the phone book and start smiling and dialing. Yeah, that's for sure. It's interesting, Lisa, you're mentioning about that because car sales are one of the fastest things that AI is replacing the car salesperson because people hate shopping for cars so much that AI is actually taking over a lot of that piece of it now in the research. And you can basically order a car and they'll deliver it to your front door with a guarantee. If you don't like the test drive, you hand it back in. So lots of things happening there. So
So
let's talk about to Lisa's point about blogging. Let's talk about some value-driven copy. And so one of the things to first remember is give out free information. And I know we hear this all the time, oh, I can't give things away for free. I'm giving away my secret sauce. No, we're not telling you to give away your secret sauce. We're telling them we're saying give them samples of your secret sauce. They don't know how you're doing it. Right. So the more you put out there, the more people will come to you. And I'm going to use my company as a prime example. I talk about this a lot. Started B2B Sales Connections in 2008. And from 2008 to about 2014, so early days of LinkedIn, early days of all of this outbound type of marketing, social media, Facebook was there, not much else was there. But from 2008 to 2014, 100% of our customers were found by what we call outbound marketing. We phoned, we emailed, We knocked on doors. We went to networking events. Thank goodness Lisa invited me to all the stuff happening at the Ajax Economic Development Group's networking meetings, or to speak at those meetings. But everything we did was us pushing information out into the hands of our target market. By 2015-16, all of the things we were posting on LinkedIn and Facebook and other places, YouTube videos, started to bring people to us. So what we want you to do is create information about what you can do for your customers. What are the problems your customers are having that they're looking for solutions? How-to files, swipe files, examples, case studies, goes back to what we are saying about. But the more you create, the more people will come and look for it. And then, as we say on the last point, you invite them to opt in to receive more. So if you like this, we're going to give you more. And they continually opt in until a point in time where they hopefully put their hand up and say, I want to be your customer. So it's all about permission-based marketing. So here's another example. And Leslie, I'm going to let you take this one. You created the landing page and lead magnet.
I did. I want to address one of the private questions.
Yep, sure.
Was does ChatGPT know who I am? So that is, I think, is a great question, and I think we've like skirted around it a little bit. But the basic question is, does it know who I am? Do I have to sign up and provide access? And so I think the free version, you don't have to sign up and give access to it. You just go to the ChatGPT OpenAI link and you can just start using it. With the paid version, obviously, because they need your credit card and so forth, they start to know you. And I've actually put in some details in my own paid version that says, this is what I do for a living. This is the way I write. Here's some examples, so that it really starts to understand who I am. And I'm not afraid. As I said, I uploaded my book and it took me 20 seconds. So then I can leverage the content from my book and help with the outputs of what I'm putting in, because I don't mind that people have access to that data. And I don't mind that it's in the ChatGPT sort of, I have no other word for it, but this group think. Yep. And so just, what I always caution is what goes on the internet stays on the internet. I've heard different things from different people about, well, does it know who you are? And if you put stuff up there, can you delete it? We don't know yet. I don't know yet. I don't have access to that kind of data. So we're just always being very mindful of like what goes on the internet stays on the internet. So I do my best to extract information without giving it anything that I don't want it to be public. So I just wanted to address that. The landing page itself. So, this is just another prompt that I have used. Pretend you are a marketing expert, right? So pretend whomever it is, pretend you're a business analyst, pretend you are whatever it is.
A used car salesperson.
Right, a used car salesperson. And so then you pretend that you are this. This is who my target audience is. And then this one says create a landing page and a lead magnet. And so I gave it a little bit more information. As I said, I repeated it here, but had I gone from the past prompt, I wouldn't need to reintroduce this information again. ChatGPT already knows from our previous conversation. So if I'd said, give me my objections, and like, okay, now give me a landing page and a lead magnet, it would have just continued the thought, if that makes sense. So because this was done in two different segments. And so I've got the biggest pain points here taken from my previous conversation that I just pulled up. What's my call to action? Is there anything else I need? And again, asking ChatGPT, do you need more information from me? Usually they don't come back with asking for more information, I found. But I still want that prompt there in case there's a gap, in case there's a hole that's missing. But again, they'll fill it in if they like. ChatGPT will fill it in if they have any assumptions.
And your call to action, you could have said, instead of contact me for customized quote, you could have said, download this, sign up for this. There's all sorts of different things. That was the call to action that Leslie chose. So that's what she's asking for. So here's the result of what she did.
So the detailed output, you can see there's headers, there's titles, there's contents, and so forth. And I haven't myself played with how this can be turned into an actual the output itself. Now I'm playing around with Canva. If any of you guys use Canva as sort of and having the handshake work there, and it's working really, really well. But there are ways that you can use ChatGPT to create PowerPoint presentations. There are either ChatGPT or other AI tools to whatever it is that you're looking for in your role, these AI tools are getting very advanced. Now, as I said, with the images, like DALI, for example, there's still a lot of hiccups. There's like, you get like instead of 10 fingers, you get like 20 fingers on a hand, or you're asking the prompts. It's not quite there as far as image generation. But we're getting there. We're really getting there as far as taking this information and then maybe moving it over to like a Canva and asking it to create the lead magnet, the visual for you.
So I think we have, whoops, okay. So there's a lead magnet taking the information, and then it's giving you some ideas using something like Canva to create the actual page. So there's lots of ideas there. I'll go back the landing page. It did the same thing. It suggests a bold headline, a sub headline, what needs to be in there, what's the audience. All these different pieces are being put together, and now you can cut and paste the points you want into your landing page. And the nice thing about Canva is there are templates for landing pages, both free and paid. There are templates for LinkedIn posts and TikTok posts and Facebook posts and Instagram. It's there. It's just creating this information. And I am not a graphic designer, so I love it because I can create content. I like that Canva, or not Canva, that chat lets me create it faster and automate things. And yeah, Adobe Express is another one. Yep, that's a Rachel saying that. Any one of these that has the AI in it, and more are building. So what's the new one in Canva? Magic, I forget what it's called. Magic something.
Oh,
it's right in Canva.
Oh, in Canva? Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a bunch of different. Yeah, there is an AI in Canva, Magic
Yep.
or something like that. And so yeah, you don't have to necessarily have the paid subscription that I know of. I think it still marries up. I have the paid subscription on that too, which I think is a nominal fee. It's not very expensive because together Magic, right, it's a powerhouse, like together, working together. But I think you can I'm pretty sure you can marry up Canva and ChatGPT without having either paid version. Quite frankly, I think you could do it both for free.
Yeah, so I don't have the paid version of Canva, and I've just cut and pasted things over regularly. But there are automations in Canva that can come from Google Sheets or Excel. So even if you aren't using chat, you can pull them right across. So again, it's AI at work. Well, even something like today, when we realized at the last minute there was a problem with the sheet or the link for today, I used AI to send out that email. All I had to do was pop the URL in it and told it to go. And I went off, and Leslie and I are frantically trying to figure out if we can fix the problem. And AI just sent it out to every one of you and said, here you go, here you go, here you go. So it's got a lot of powers in there.
Oh, I used it when instead of trying to search for answers for stuff, I was like, I go step by step, tell me how to get this fixed. And turn out they did.
So this exercise in the workbook, we've got a couple of pages in here. When we actually do this as a live workshop, we actually work with everybody one-on-one and get you to do what you need to do for your industry. But we'll send you out some information afterwards where you'll have this. And if you need help on it, as I said, we're running a mastermind later on in starting early February, where we're going to walk everybody through all the pieces. So how do we use drip marketing? And what we want to do is we want to use social media, LinkedIn, emails, cold calls, whatever you're prepared to do to reach out to your intended audience. And we're going to do that in a number of different ways. So I just see another question. No, okay, the question's gone. So by using it, it gets it helps you understand more about those leads and understanding those leads. And the biggest thing I've seen is that converting clients by shortening the sales cycle. There's a study that was done on companies that say they have a long sales cycle. And I've got a prime example of one of my clients. Before I worked with them, their average sales cycle was anywhere from 17 to 24 months. Can you imagine that? The first time you meet somebody, 2 years before you close that deal. And by bringing in better pieces to their sales playbook, using AI to help train them on objection handling and on dealing with difficult conversations with clients. We've actually shortened that sales cycle from 2 years. And I know this sounds unbelievable, but their sales cycle now is 3 months or less. Now, there's still a few clients that drag on for a lot longer, but we've been able to get the sales cycle shortened. And it's by using AI to help in the teaching of the salespeople and in the messaging in how they're reaching out to build more urgency. Because if there's no urgency, the sales cycle will go on and on and on. Right. So this was, oh, sorry, go ahead, Leslie.
I think with, and I haven't played around with this yet, but LinkedIn Sales Navigator and Salesforce is now using AI.
Yeah.
Understand, from a marketing standpoint and a sales standpoint, the more we know about our customers, the better. From a human standpoint, it's some crazy stuff to be, that we know so much. Like from my own perspective, it is a little creepy that these AI tools are going to start to really get to know our target market so much better than they even know themselves, which is great from a sales perspective, a little terrifying from a human perspective. But yeah, these Salesforce, and I think even LinkedIn. But having said that too, as I kind of backtrack what I've done, my statement is there is an AI tool now that you can write your LinkedIn profile with, and I've played around with it. It's not so great yet. It will get there.
Yeah.
Right now, it doesn't write the greatest one in LinkedIn itself. So I don't know how Sales Navigator is going to work with the AI. But yeah, we're still in we're still in the beginning of all of this. So I'm so excited that everybody's here to join us on this, because we're just figuring all this stuff out. We're at the cutting edge of all this stuff.
So this is an example of a client that I've been working with for quite a while. When I first met them, this was an email, a first cold email that was going out to clients. And I forget, it's like 150 words, and it's terrible how bad it went on. And we took this, and using AI, we asked it to punch it up, simplify it down, and we had to feed in some information. And this is what it came back with. So it went from, who we are, what we're all about. And the title line, the Southern California Casino using AI, it's seen a 13% increase, 6 million in new player revenue, 22% increase. It's amazing. This email was getting an unsubscribe rate of 3% and a response rate of 0. This email was getting an unsubscribe rate of 0 and people asking for more information at sometimes it was up over 20%. So people saw it, but it was targeted to the exact right person in the exact right. So we're not just blanketing this out. We knew exactly who we were going after in this email. So we targeted using AI to adjust the database, to sort the database, and to go out and look for more people who fit those profiles. So in this case, we were using AI connected to LinkedIn, using Sales Navigator, and other things to find out exactly who we wanted to reach out to. And it was used both as a LinkedIn message and as a email message. Right? So what do we need to do? We need to create a drip marketing program. The number of people who are still using email over social media is huge because it's more effective. And so our dripping is dripping information. So I talk about it being a contact request. If you're going to start with LinkedIn, it's a contact request. If it's not LinkedIn, that first contact request is, hey, Leslie, can we talk? And if Leslie responds back, it's a thank you with some information. But in my company, we started with 5 in our drip, and then it went up to 10, went up to 15. And I think at last count, our drip marketing campaign is like 20 plus. So we can put you in. And the question I always get is, how much is too much? And my answer to everybody is always this: you continue to drip information to your customers until they either say, that's interesting, tell me more, or they say, take me off your list. No reply is just no reply. If they may have been busy, They glanced at it, but didn't even open it. There's all sorts of reasons why. They had a busy day, forgot about it. They read it, forgot about it. So unless they say, leave me alone and unsubscribe, or they say, tell me more, you just continue to send them information.
And these touch
Easy as
points,
that.
as you
Yep.
said, so they don't necessarily all have to be direct. So some of those touch points are making a status update on LinkedIn. They might be they've seen they're accessing information from a variety of different sources. This isn't just you like buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my
No,
stuff.
no, not at all.
It's like them signing up to your email address, you sending a message on LinkedIn, and it's always how can you provide value throughout the process? How can you educate? So the three E's of social media are educate, entertain, and I always forget the
Exfoliate.
I always say the last one: educate, entertain, and engage. Yeah,
Engage. Okay.
right. Because it's not a, it's also not a monologue; it's a dialogue.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where that's where things have shifted in social media is to remember that we're engaging in two-way conversations with people. We're not just talking at them, we are talking with them. So, how can you continue and use these tools in order to get the conversations from online to offline?
One of the hardest challenges that I have with new clients that don't know me is telling them to stop sending out brochures. And what we have done over the last, and my own company, we started doing this probably 5, 6 years ago. We got rid of brochures completely, and we've gone to what we call industry insight documents. Things that you can post that talk about what's happening in your industry, how to fix the things that are going wrong in your industry, and you are the expert talking about it. So then they come to you because you're the one talking about it. You're not saying buy something, you're just saying, hey, if you're looking for information on how to do this, here's some ideas. Again, back to that giving things away. So whether you're posting it online, whether you're sending it out as emails, we always keep sending people back to download this. And the first thing we let you download, we always let you download, no cost, no emails, no opt-in, anything. Here it is, take it. But in there we say, so there's an example of one, a quick infographic, 10 things you need to know. Now, if you want detailed information on all these 10 things, then download our report, 10 things you need to know. But this time, you have to give me your email address and your first name. And then that way I've now got you, I can put you into my database. And we send things out. And as I said, we're over 20 things in our message string. None of them are selling. They're all value adds. What can we give you? Now, I will admit that when I sent out emails about or LinkedIn messages about this workshop, it was a sale. Hey, we're doing a workshop, but it was trying to sell you on the idea of coming to a workshop to learn more. It's not, hey, pay us $100, here's a workshop. What becomes the lead in your business? And then from there, if they download the information, start a deeper conversation, you're trying to move to that one-on-one discovery call. Hey, Leslie, let's talk about this. Is this something we can help you with? But by now you've built that trust. They know you, they like you, they trust you. You've provided insights about your industry, your documentation about your industry. They're going, this person understands my business, understands the problems I'm having. I'm prepared to talk to them. So this again is a prompt that Leslie did, the trigger, the teaser, the call to action, and give value. Do you want to talk about these next couple, Leslie?
Yeah, so you can see there, I'm like, go back to the most common. I'm already telling the ChatGPT, go back to when we talked about those objections. Pretend you're a sales expert who's creating a sequence of 5 emails to convert clients. I would like you to create a table for each of these messages. The first is a personalized connection request with no sales message. The second is a thank you for connecting message. The third should be a call to action with my infographic that I'm going to be creating that is going to address some of those common objectives. The fourth should ask follow-up questions about the third message. And the fifth should qualify the lead to see if they're a good fit. So we've just sort of compacted that drip messaging into, condensed it down to 5, really. But here again, here's the email sequence, there's the purpose, and here's the content. Just how much time did that just save from having to create this from net new? right? When and we would show you how quick it is to do it on ChatGPT, but as you can tell, technology is not working for us today. So that's why we've given you the screen grab here. But it literally populates in seconds, and that's the part that blows my mind away. All of the hours of research that is now just seconds
Yep.
to output is so simple. Now then translating now into actionable, tactics is it may take you a little bit more time, but having this data is incredible.
And to think, if you go back and we look at number 3 and 4, the offer call to action, this is something written by chat. Would you send this out or do you need to rewrite it? No, I'd send this out. I recently created the infographic. Would you like to have a copy of it? Boom, easy as that. The follow-up question. I hope you found the infographic insightful. Do you have any feedback or questions? I'm always here to help. These are simple things that it does. And what I like about this is when I ask my clients to do this themselves, that follow-up question would probably be 100 or 200 words. They would have gone on and on and on. Keep it simple. Keep it quick. So
Yep.
just checking in with everybody. Anybody got questions? Anything in the chat you wanted to? You want to come on and have a quick question for us before we continue on to the next piece?
I love your point, Bob, about, keep it simple because we all have such short attention spans. And we, as you know, Bob, I say all the time, when you're inside the jar, you can't see the label. We spend so much time thinking we need to spend more time, more content. And there's another quote that I love by a 16th century philosopher by the name of Blaise Pascal, who said, if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter. And so condensing information is much harder than going long. It's much harder
Everyone,
dense some information. And so ChatGPT can do that. But again, as I said, it sometimes will take out the nuggets, the best part of the conversation that I have to be strategic to say, oh, no, I still needed this piece in it.
and so this is the example of 5 emails in the sequence. Created a subject line, told us the purpose to reiterate what we were talking about. We wanted introduction and awareness. We wanted value. We wanted solutions and benefits. Oops, I dropped down there. And then it gave us brief emails on each one of those. And again, very, very brief. So it's a quick way to do it. It's an effective way to do it. Again, read it all the time before it gets sent out. So I
Oh,
see
because yeah,
obtaining.
case it will also say, ChatGPT's response is blank. So it will, because what's happening now, and this, I don't want to go off the subject here, but this is important, is that students are obviously using this, right? So the teachers are getting the responses from the students doing their assignment that says, oh, great, this is what ChatGPT says. And so don't copy verbatim because.
Yeah. So Caroline's asking, can I use this for obtaining sponsors for a nonprofit organization? I'm actually just recently worked with one, Caroline, and that's exactly what we did. We used it to identify companies that were major donors within a certain geographical area, donors to certain themes or certain segments, and we looked at who these donors were, and then we used the research to say what were donors looking for, why were they donating, and it created a number of really insightful pieces for us, and it allowed us to help rewrite emails that were being sent out to test them out. It's too early to tell on that one how well it's working, but yeah, it can do it in just about any sector. I haven't come back and seen anything that we have come across. And Leslie and I working with startups, we find it very, very powerful because a lot of our startups are technology driven people. They're inventors, they're, PhDs in, well, I laugh because in the most recent group, we actually had a brain surgeon and a rocket scientist. Right? These are people which are super smart in their businesses, their vocations, but they're not good at marketing. And they are people who really like to go long and deep in every explanation they give. So when you try to tell them, no, we need to go small and short, it's not, no, I need to give all this information. And that's
So
not the way it works.
synthesize, it can also like do like if you, again, being mindful of don't put any private information on there, but if you're asking it to look for I do it for grammatical,
Yeah.
I look through this and make sure that it's grammatically correct, even as an English speaking person, like that's my native tongue. sometimes my grammar's not always right. So, or I'm questioning my grammar. Do I say Bob and me? Do I say Bob and I? When does that work? So,
Yeah.
these kinds of nuances, you can use it for that as well.
My latest ebook, I am terrible about you and your, and it's just a matter of typing. I type 10 finger and I type very, very fast. And it always, the word you always, the R never seems to get hit in time. And I used Grammarly's AI to go through the ebook, and it goes, I don't know how many times, it must have been 100 times that it went up there and corrected you to your or your to you where it should have been. It's not a spelling mistake on my part, right? It is a spelling mistake. It's a laziness mistake, and it catches it as it's going through. Just one other thing about the last point. I always talk about people like to give shopping lists. So Leslie could say that I can help you with your LinkedIn profile writing. I can help you create this. I can help, and they go on and on. And customers or companies selling things do this all the time. They want to tell you every possible thing they can sell. And what happens is after 3 or 4 things that you're talking about, your customer tunes out. You're hoping they're going to put their hand up and say, pick me. Yeah, you can do what I want. What we like about using things like chat is we're only asking it for what are the 3, the 4, the 5 biggest pain points that are truly impacting your customer. And then focus on those, because those are the ones that hook them in. I could have written an article about customer relationship management databases, but it would have only appealed to 3% of the market. Writing about lead generation and focusing only on lead generation attracts over 50% of the market. If I said I'm talking about sales, then it becomes a massive target, and nobody, it's like saying I'm going to walk onto a car lot and say, I want to buy a vehicle. Do you want a car? Do you want a truck? Do you want a family size? Do you want a sport? Do you want a blah, blah, blah? Keep it narrow. They say in the United States, because it rhymes, the riches is in the niches. In Canada, you can't say the riches in the niches. It just doesn't kind of have the same alliteration there. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the last one, social media marketing, how we've been connecting chat and Canva or other products. And again, this is one that Leslie had created. Go ahead.
Oh, this is a great one. So if you
Yeah.
want to create your social media calendar 3 months, 6 months, a year in advance, you simply just ask it to say, this is my role. This is what I do. Provide me with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, in this case, LinkedIn tips, right? So if I want to create a social media calendar that I'm posting on LinkedIn about LinkedIn, then in this example, 10 brief LinkedIn tips, keep each post to under 150 characters, because again, if we're doing this in a visual context and using Canva, we want to keep it short and sweet. Do not include any emojis or hashtags, because I find anytime I ask ChatGPT to write something, for some reason, it's using emojis and hashtags on it. So I don't want that on there as well. And so then the output comes out with, here we go. Certainly, here's 10 concise LinkedIn tips for me to share. So then I take this data, right? And of course, I'm going to go through that data to make sure it's right. Is this what I would say if I were to write it myself? Are there duplications in there? Which is fine sometimes to duplicate if you're doing a content calendar. But getting this data, and I don't know if we have in the next slide, then I marry this up with Canva. And then what you do is basically you mail merge.
Yeah.
You do a mail merge. You decide in Canva. Usually I pick the Instagram post square size, because I think that formats for me on LinkedIn quite nicely. And I can also use it on Instagram if I decide to use that. And then we have.
We'll send out the link. I'm actually, that's something after this is over. So we have a link to, I think this is what this is. And I'm not going to play it now because it is kind of long and we run over time. But we will send you a link to this, and it actually walks you step by step through how to take it into Canva, or sorry, how to create it, bring it into Canva, edit it in Canva, create the 10 different ones at a time, and then take it back into LinkedIn and set up LinkedIn with the scheduling tool to release it in time. So it's a powerful, powerful little thing. And when Leslie first taught me this, I probably saved a day of work and did it in less than 30 minutes the first time and probably 15 minutes or less the second time. So
It
it is
take me an
crazy fun.
hour to create just the content itself. It used to take me 1 hour to put a
Yeah.
month's worth of content together. And then it would take me, I don't even know how many other hours it would take for me to create the visuals to go along with Canva. This will do it in probably less than 5 minutes for you to go get this, grab it, go through it. Then you basically, you decide on your image in Canva, and then it's called bulk create, and you kind of mail merge them together. And as I said, you could have as many posts as you want. You could do an entire content calendar for the entire year in seconds. So it's amazing. So we have a question here from
Oh,
Gwen,
good.
who's asking, there's no two searches would return the same data. And this is where we're still just figuring this out, Gwen, to know, like, just like, well, even in Google, if I were to type in, chicken recipe, the information that comes up on Google might be very different for you than it might be for me based on previous searches. It's called the filter bubble, and the algorithms are that way. So ChatGPT will change its answer based on the stuff that you've put in the past. So the filter bubble of, okay, well, you've already asked for these questions before, so we just assume that you're looking for this information. So it makes a whole bunch of assumptions. Now, Bob and I are not literally going through this to see if we literally are getting the same output, but I would just assume, because it is this group think, that because there's so much content going into it all the time, that the answers would change depending on what you're asking, and everybody's going to ask in a different way.
Yeah, yeah. And that, again, that comes back to the importance of the niche in
Right.
terms. So if Leslie's a LinkedIn writer and she wants to focus on financial planners, how many other people are actually using ChatGPT to try to do the same thing? And but if you ask ChatGPT the population of Canada, every time it should give you whatever the updated number is it's putting out. So so there are things that, yes, everybody is going to get the exact same answer to, but when you start asking it to write and create things, it's going to be doing it based on what you've told it in the past. So Leslie, as she said, she's got her profile in there. The more she adds to her profile, the more she tells it what to do. So you can tell it. And again, this is something we're going to send out as some ideas for command prompts. We'll send you this all after the session. But you could tell it to write folksy. You could tell it to write technical. You can tell it to write, all sorts of different ways that it can create the output based on what you tell it to do. And that's so if you want to be hyper technical, make it hyper technical. If you want it to be humorous, ask it to be humorous. Go ahead. Yeah, we did that in the pirate speak one. We do like to have fun when we're doing things here.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see.
Interesting is because we are such a I mean, presuming that everybody's like logging in, either our friends that have been in the Pioneer program, and so they might be logging in from other countries, but most people here are probably Canadian as well, is if you need it translated. I've had, okay, here's my prompt in English, translate it to Farsi, and just immediately. Or do you want it in French? Again, you probably would want a native speaker to go through and like, is this really right? But have it created in whatever way. But most people are, excuse me, saying that it's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah. And so what we're looking at for, let's say a company came to me and said, "Hey, Bob, we'd like you to do a presentation to an audience, and English is their third language, German's their first language." I could actually have an AI program as I'm speaking. It can translate, and across the bottom, it could deploy the they call the words at the bottom. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking.
Yeah.
The closed caption at the bottom, it could do it in German, but now AI is so good, it could actually take my voice and speak it in German for them.
So
And we've seen a couple of people who've done this, and people speaking the native language are saying it's pretty damn close, probably better than if I was new, English and German. It makes fewer mistakes than I would make trying to speak another language.
yeah, an avatar. So now the technology out there, they're still a little robotic.
Yeah.
But if I uploaded a bunch of videos of myself, or Bob does, we upload videos of ourselves, it has this, the AI will now be able to generate new versions of videos. And as Bob said, they are out there right now where if we took this video right now and we uploaded it to this AI, it would then translate it with our mouths moving at
With
the
our,
exact
yeah.
moment to do it in French, to do it in German, to do it in these other languages. And it's just automatic. And it's just, it's a little scary because
Mhm.
where these deep fakes are going to come in, where you're going to see these like celebrities, you're going to say, oh, they're endorsing this, or Bob and Leslie are endorsing that. And like that, they just took,
And we're seeing those all the time now, especially on Facebook, where you've got somebody. There was one the other day, Dr. Oz, and you know he was not endorsing the product. There's no way in heck that he was paid to do that, but it was there. And I'm sure that somebody has taken a deep fake and just taken Dr. Oz. They only need 30 seconds of your voice and your image to create and make it look like it was you doing it. It's just crazy scary.
so
So just to kind of, oh, go ahead.
one more tip is because this could be used for fraudulent, like not us, but the AI can be used for fraudulent. It's probably a good idea for you and your family to have like a family word. So if
Right,
somebody's
yes.
calling, right? So if like, because this is happening where people are fraudulently calling seniors and saying, "Oh, grandma, it's your grandson, and I'm here, and I'm stuck, and I need some money." So start to find different questions within your family to oh, what, okay, so if it is my grandson, what street did you grow up on, like things that
Yeah.
only they would,
Not the dog's name, which was posted on Facebook, and the AI could find in a second that the dog's name is. But yeah,
right, like, or have a safe word, or a like a okay, so everybody's word is like pineapple. Okay, so what's our password? Oh, okay. So that where that if the AI bot is doing this, it's not happening. Don't think it's happening a lot, but it could. So
it's yeah.
I just want to give a cautionary tale about that.
So just another quick point. If you're looking to build your list and do this, you really need to think about, who are those next 10 to 20 customers that you need to reach out to? What's the business? Provide that ideal customer profile or the avatar and use that as your building block as you're developing lists, as you're developing your messaging. And again, we're going to talk about, if you are interested, we're going to talk about our mastermind starting in February. These are the things we're going to go right into depth working with this. So you build a list. You can use workshops, seminars, online directories. You can make phone calls, emails. There's all sorts of things you can do. I use both ChatGPT and I've used Google Bard a bit too. It's only US based right now. So I set my VPN to the USA and it allows me to do that. So there's a lot of things you can do to build your list before you start to do your outreach. Who do you want to talk to? Find a niche, segment the niche, segment the titles of the people you're going out to. It can be 3 or 4 titles, but segment them so your messaging is very, very on topic. Right? I just want to show you a few of the products that I'm using. I like this 4,000% increase in social emails over social media when it comes to finding customers. I use a program called, actually, up until a short time ago, I used a program called Yesware. Google is finally getting better. I can't believe that Google's Gmail has one of the worst email campaign programs in it. You know, there's all these free programs that you can attach to Gmail, which do so much better than Gmail does itself. I use a program called We Connect. Leslie has to plug her ears whenever I talk about this, because this is actually a third party that connects to my LinkedIn and allows me to send out bulk messaging in LinkedIn. And if you're looking for email writing programs, there is Grammarly, there is GM Plus is another one that I've used multiple times. There's so many out there, but these are just things. And as I said, LinkedIn, WeConnect is the only one I use regularly. And just like Sales Navigator, I turn it on and I turn it off. If I want to advertise a program, I use WeConnect, because what it does is it allows me to mass market out to my LinkedIn contacts or out to people in groups. Very quick thing to do.
Just don't spam at people.
Yeah, exactly. It's all custom still. It's all custom. All right. So anything, just to kind of, we've looked at the pain points. You want to think about your customer's pain. What's the problem they've got? What do you solve for them? And what are the objections they're going to have? Start with that as your first point, because people are always out there looking for, how do I lose weight? How do I get healthier? How do I reduce my blood pressure? How do I go to a low salt diet? How do I find more customers? Whatever. So think about those as your start. Use the AI, something like ChatGPT, to help you create the copy, set up a drip marketing program, connect with them regularly. How much is too much? Until they say stop, you continue to go. And our email list at one time was over 16,000. Every month we had 2 or 3% drop out, but we had a bigger number opt in. And that's what we want. The ones who dropped out, maybe they left their job, maybe they're not interested anymore, maybe they changed position, maybe they moved out of the, who knows what. But people who are opting out are also putting their hand up and saying, it's not for me. That's the way you
That's
want.
okay. It's honestly, I find the people when they opt out, I do take it personally. I do. I'm like, oh, they unsubscribed.
What
But
did I do?
no, I do. I do. I get a little upset by it. But at the same time, if someone then takes their hand down, then I don't have to waste my time trying to target to those people who don't want what I have to offer. And that's okay. And I have to, like, even though I do take it personally, it's probably better for my time and my resources to know who I don't serve
Yeah.
just as much as I know who I do serve.
Okay, so I don't see any, that's okay. Finally, using chat and Canva or other programs to allow you to automate a lot of these pieces. Very easy to do. So just to let you know what we're doing a mastermind starting in February, and it's a 10-week program. Leslie does 5 weeks, I do 5 weeks. And these are the steps that we're taking you through, from building your brand, defining your target market, working with digital marketing. So Leslie goes beyond just the Facebook, the LinkedIn side of things, creating the copy, getting better at your LinkedIn. And then I work on how to build a repeatable revenue stream, automating your lead generation, using a framework called PASTA for discovery calls, how to gain buyer commitment. This is one of the biggest problems. People saying, I'm interested, but then they never sign up. And we've all got those people. It's like, oh yeah, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. And then finally putting it all together. So that's our mastermind. If you're interested, let us know. We'll send you some email on that. And Leslie and I both do private coaching. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to divide up into 5 and 5, 5 sessions with Leslie, 5 sessions with me. So you get the social media side of things and the direct selling side of things. So those are available. So anybody comments? I know we're at the end. If you want to stay a few more minutes, anything you felt was very important for what you got from today's session, anything you're going to try, might do differently, you can type it in the chat, or I will stop the share.
Stop the recording as well.
And stop the recording.